68. The Unwelcome Visitor. As surely as winter's icy grip follows autumn's fading warmth, the shadows of my past loomed, poised to encroach upon the serenity I'd painstakingly cultivated. The seasons of my life had long been marked by turmoil, and I intuitively knew that the calm was fleeting. No ominous signs foretold the events that would unfold. One fine day, like any other, Keith and I cozied up together on the comfortable two-seater couch on our porch, surrounded by vibrant blooms of lavender and rosemary. We sipped steaming coffee, enjoying the Ronnie Rooster comedy show unfolding before us. The daily spectacle of Ronnie's proud struts, accompanied by his harem's soft clucks and comical chase for juicy bugs, never failed to delight. Our vibrant, succulent Karoo garden reflected the warm sun's golden glow. The melodious calls of Karoo thrushes, Cape robins, and southern boobos filled the air with their gentle symphony. In the background, a barbet pecked out its familiar rhythm on a nearby weathered tree trunk, its rough bark glistening in the sunlight. In this serene atmosphere, we basked in the sanctity of our blissful life. Suddenly, a dust cloud appeared on the horizon, signaling the approach of a car. Much to our surprise, it turned into our gate, and Keith got up to greet the unknown visitors at the back of the house. I didn't think much of it, since getting lost was common on those intricate roads. People usually relied on Keith to explain the correct route, which he had done many times before. The next minute, Keith reappeared, and I immediately saw by the look on his face that something was amiss. Yet I was still unprepared for the words that tumbled from his lips. I could see that he dreaded sharing them with me as much as I dreaded hearing those words. "Sweetie, I'm sorry to say, but it's the sheriff. He has court papers from Henny that he needs to serve you." A bolt of shock seared through me, shattering my world. I drifted on a maelstrom of disbelief, turmoil, and glacial fear. Fear morphed into a ravenous beast, claws digging deep. "You dared to flee?" it snarled, venom dripping from its words. "I pledged to hunt you down. Now you trapped, mine to claim." Gloom descended. I stumbled through the hallway, desperate to escape. Fingers scrabbling against cool sandstone, I clung to the wall. Shadows loomed like spectres, their darkness suffocating. The cold, damp air clung to me like a shroud. I collapsed onto our bed and burst into uncontrollable sobs. Images flashed through my mind like a Hollywood horror movie. Keith, recognizing my paralysis, signed the papers on my behalf. He returned with a thick sheaf, its pages resembling the lifeless corpse of my soul, cold, heavy, and reeking of malevolence. His expression mirrored my dread. Summoning a sliver of courage, I began to read. My trembling fingers blurred the words. My throat parched, I struggled to breathe. Each dreaded word confirmed Henny's menacing promises. Months ago, Keith drew a firm line in the sand, symbolizing our resolve. Henny's civil claim sought immediate payment of all subsequent ex gratia arrears, plus costs. Reeling from the claim's impact, we mailed the documents to Natasha. True to her integrity, she promptly phoned back with reassuring words. Elmarie, he's made a huge blunder. He sued you in the wrong court. Let me write to him, demanding retraction and proper filing. This enables us to claim costs before refiling. I'll also emphasize your unemployed status, rendering fund provision impossible. Relax, don't stress, enjoy a glass of wine. I've got this. Natasha executed the coup de grace, the fatal blow. Fast forward to the future. No more court papers from Henny, ever. The ancient Greeks called it hubris. Eastern philosophies term it karma. Life's entropy embodies this timeless principle. Toxic seeds sown in another's garden ripen into self-destruction. Wisdom lies in recognizing the inseparable bond between action and consequence. As we sow, so shall we reap. In our own backyard. Winter's icy grip on my soul finally released. The first signs of spring emerged slowly. I had escaped, dodged the bullet, and was finally free at last. Or had I merely rearranged my chains? The past whispered, "Little lamb, you not free yet."